Welcome back. For a man who's accomplished so much in his 99 years, you'd never know it from talking with Reverend Bill Greeson. From blazing trails in sports and in the military, Reverend Greeson has seemingly seen and done it all. The Atlanta native settled in Birmingham after his playing days, which included several years with the Black Barons.
Yeah, he's pastored Bethel Baptist Church in Bernie Point since 1971. So how does this man who fought in World War II, broke the color barrier for several baseball franchises, and seen history up close and personal, stay so grounded? To tell you that story, we have to take you back to the beginning.
If you stay humble, you go up. But if you start up, you come down. That's been my life.
From the diamond to the pulpit, Bill Greeson's humility has made an impact.
He's a good role model.
All Americans should be reverent of his journey.
At the age of 99, Reverend Greeson is still going strong, preaching every Sunday at Bethel Baptist Church in Birmingham's West End. Born in Atlanta in 1924, the third of 5 children, he was taught early on the importance of family.
We learn how to help one another. When everybody's poor, not poor, they know how to help each other.
After high school, he was drafted, becoming one of the first Black Marines in U.S. history.
He acquitted himself and his fellow Black Marines at a time where there was a lot of skepticism in the Marine Corps about those men and women.
Greeson and his fellow Montford Point Marines were sent to Iwo Jima, Japan, to fight in World War II. 2 of his best friends never made it off that island. What he saw led to a promise that would one day change his life.
I said, Lord, if you save me, I'll do anything you want me to do.
Greeson survived. Before coming home, he had a front row seat to one of the most iconic moments in American military history.
We heard that trumpet blow, and we looked up, and the guy had a small flag up on Iwo. And then after a while, it took it down and raised a larger one.
Back in the States, Greeson began his baseball career with the Nashville Cubs. In the spring of '48, life would take a turn when he pitched against the Birmingham Black Barons.
And I pitched the next 7 innings against them.
In short order, he was acquired by Birmingham, where he would be teammates with a 17-year-old rookie named Willie Mays.
One of the best, incomparable in everything, catching, running, throwing, and he soon learned to hit.
That same year, the Black Barons played in the last Negro League World Series. Bill Greeson earned the only win in a loss to the Homestead Grays. More importantly, the '48 season set the tone for a close friendship with Mays that still lives on. His time with the Black Barons ended in 1951 when he returned to the Marines during the Korean War. He was never deployed. The following year, Greeson made history again, signing with the Oklahoma City Indians, integrating professional sports in Oklahoma.
I just went and did what I had to do.
Like so many African Americans at the time, he suffered through the indignities of racism.
In Fort Worth, I had a guy, after I had pitched and won a game, I went and sat down in the bullpen and they didn't have no covering. All of a sudden I feel something, water hit me, and I looked up, here's a guy standing up there.
The failed chance at the big leagues didn't faze him in the slightest.
Please remember this. There's a reason for things, and you don't need to try to probe and open it up.
History called Greeson's number again in 1953, traded to the St. Louis Cardinals. A year later, he became the first Black pitcher in their history. Success would be fleeting.
I went for 2 weeks, and nobody played catch with me. So I just go in and run every day, run.
Greeson's major league career totals: 3 games, 4 innings, 0 wins. Greeson retired from baseball in 1959. He and his wife returned to Birmingham, where he found a job working at Pizitz Department Store. They were members of 16th Street Baptist Church on September 15, 1963, when the unthinkable happened. Greeson was on his way to Tuscaloosa at the time.
We got at Bessemer, we heard a boom.
You could hear it in Bessemer.
Oh, yeah.
He believes God had his hand on him that fateful day.
That bomb went off where we used to congregate after Sunday school on Sunday. In that same area where that bomb went off. God had a reason for allowing me to go play.
He eventually enrolled in Bible college, the promise he made at Iwo Jima coming full circle after a late night at work.
Something happened on my way home. I missed having an accident. And seemingly the Lord said to me, now is the time.
The next day, Greason put in his notice. His wife's reaction.
I came home and told my wife about it. She said, "Is you crazy?"
Greason's career in ministry started in 1969 at New Hope Baptist in Bessemer. 2 years later, he accepted the call at Bethel Baptist Church, where he still preaches to this day.
When I started in the ministry, most of the people that I were to pastor, they were here. So I didn't go there and you got to worship me and praise me. I got right there and there with them.
For the people who know him best, it's his faith and humbleness that's impacted them most.
I don't think Bill saw color the way a lot of other people did.
He believes in people, not things. He believes in taking care of communities, not in acquiring material goods.
99 years later, historic accomplishments, breaking barriers, a congressional gold medal, living a life any man would be proud of. For Reverend Bill Greason, it comes back to what his mother taught him all those years ago.
Stay humble. I don't care how you're blessed, stay humble and learn to help other folk.
Now, upon hearing about this story, Governor Ivey issued this commendation for Reverend Greason. It says, quote, I, Kay Ivey, Governor of Alabama, do hereby commend William Henry Greason on his service to the state of Alabama, our nation, and his community. By the way, there's so much more we actually didn't have time to get to with this story. You can see our full 1 hour conversation with Reverend Greason right now on our free app. That includes his thoughts on being on the field in Cuba when Fidel Castro took over, receiving a congressional gold medal, and his time mentoring 2 Hall of Fame baseball players. And by the way, you might be wondering